Hi guys, it's Penelope in London. Happy New Year to you all, and hopefully we'll keep moving forward. And we've got a lot looking up and some difficulties as well along the way. It's not all like a walk in the park, but there's stuff going on that indicates that we're going to get some shifts that are good for us. And I'll explain it's not going to happen overnight. It's a process. I'm basically in front of me right now. I've got my chart, and if you go to Astrology.com, you'll be able to get your own chart, and what you want to do is know your birth time so you can put your rising sign in. I'm going to show you that this is my natal chart on the inside, and then on the outside of the chart you have the transits. If you're not familiar with astrology, if you are, you will know that the planets move around the chart and all of them are moving at different speeds. So on the outside of this chart is basically transposed onto the natal chart. This is the collective chart on the outside. And the sun, as an example, takes a year to move around the chart, and the moon takes 28 days, and the moon is currently just entered Virgo, so it'll be there for 2.5 days. What we have, I'm going to show you now on here the chart of the moment, and hopefully I can expand that. So let me make that bigger. And this is the chart of the moment. So this is what's going on right now in the skies. The time up here is in the UK. So if you're in the USA somewhere, it's going to be behind. And if you're in Australia, it's forwards. But this is right now. So we've got 0 degrees Virgo and probably coming up to 1 degree shortly. Actually, no, this is the exact time, 22, it's 0 degrees. So the moon will be 2.5 days here. The sun is currently in the sign of Capricorn. At the bottom of the chart, you can see here, all of this is transposed onto this here. So you can see the degrees. The sun is at 12 degrees Capricorn. The moon is at 0 degrees Virgo. Mercury is in Capricorn, and so forth. So Mercury there in Capricorn. I'm sorry, in Sagittarius. Venus is in Sagittarius, 23 degrees. That will be moving into Capricorn. We've got the South Node in Sagittarius, the North Node in Gemini, and that's for the next year. So the year ahead, we will be communicating locally and looking for truth and figuring out what we think and feel about things, our subjective thinking. We also have a square to the nodes. So you can see a square here from the North Node. You can see that we have a square to Neptune, and we also have a square to the South Node. So this creates a T-square. We have tension, and this is what's causing a lot of difficulty for us at the moment in moving forward. We don't know if we're coming or going, but we will figure it out bit by bit. So Neptune is to do with our illusions and delusions, and it's to do with breaking it down for us, like dissolving the issues. But the resolution node here, if we were to stand on the chart, we'd point, if we was to stand on Neptune looking inwards, we would put out our left arm to look for the resolution node, and the resolution node is in the past. So there's something from the past that's going to help to resolve this. With the square to the nodes, we keep bouncing backwards and forwards on a particular subject. So on solar fire, let's see how long this is going on for, because we've got 18 degrees and 19 degrees. So the North Node is now moving towards the Neptune, and the South Node is going to be moving off of Neptune as we move forward. The other thing I can tell you is that we've also got the Sun conjunct Mercury at the moment, but they're basically, where are we? Sun conjunct Mercury is moving off. We've got the Sun trine to Uranus. So the Sun is trining Uranus up here. You can see just actually Sun trine Uranus. So you can see here Uranus is there, and the Sun, but again, that's separating, and the Sun is sextile to Neptune, but the Sun takes a degree a day to move. So that continues for the coming week. Going forward. And then we've got the moon moves quickly, so I won't go too much into that at the moment. The Mercury is sextile Neptune, which is a good energy to give us a bit of a hand in what's going on. And the Mercury is also conjunct Pluto, you can see here. So this can be quite, sort of whatever our thinking is right now, It's to do with looking, Pluto is birth, death, transformation, transmutation. So we're trying to figure something out deeply. And then also we've got coming up in the USA, as we all know, the inauguration. And when I pull up Solar Fire, we'll see what's going on as the chart moves forward. Venus is trying to Mars. Venus takes 224 days to move around the chart. So Venus is here and it's trining Mars at the moment up here. So that's Venus is also square to Neptune. So this is to do with our needs and there can be a struggle there. Mars is square to Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto. And that's very difficult for us right now. The Mars square. And also, I'll show you where that is, Mars. And we've got Pluto down here. So you can see it's close, in a close conjunction with Pluto to Mars, but Saturn and Jupiter are moving off. And then Saturn is square Uranus. And that's something, that's a big one coming up, because that Saturn square Uranus is going to play out all year. And I will make another video on that, but I want to bring that up today. And then Lilith is also conjunct, you can see conjunct Uranus here. And we've also got a fixed star called Hamal, I believe we pronounce it, which I've just been introduced to. Not, another astrologer was explaining that to me. And Hamal is basically to do with some discord, and so is Eris. So all of these planets together hitting Pluto is very, very tough time for us and where we're heading. And the Hamal is basically joins the sun on the April the 27th. So there's a lot to look at going forward. And it's a fixed star which can cause, cruelty and brutishness and, violence, and it's a fixed star. So again, we've got Eris is also to do with discord. And then the other thing is that Mars is, going to activate Uranus, and then Lilith, the shadow. So interesting times ahead of us. A lot of stuff that goes on generally is in our psyche, and there is real life stuff going on out there, but we live in the psyche, and it's the psyche of man. Carl Gustav Jung said, I can't remember exactly how he said it, but he said, it was man that, that invented the H-bomb, for instance, and that was to do with the psyche of man that's dangerous, not to do with the world in its natural form. We might have volcanic eruptions and such things like that, like natural forces, but the world is not ultimately a dangerous place. It's the way that man deals with things. Man being, humanity, when I use the word man. So Uranus has been retrograde for months now, 5 months, and on the 14th of January, it's going to go direct. So when Mars is retrograde, it basically is to do with, we're trying to figure out our individuation and look at our unconsciousness. It helps us to become aware of what's unconscious in us when a planet goes retrograde. It speeds up, and it's been very useful to have this go on for us. With Uranus in Taurus, it's to do with our financial resources, and there's going to be huge shifts in the way we're dealing with money in the future. Over the years that's moving through, and there's a lot of tension, as we can see with money. We can see how the situation played out with money being paid by the government back to people for having to stay at home and stuff like that. So it's a really interesting time we live in. With the Uranus, detachment is really necessary so we can objectify, and the detachment is essential because it removes us from the emotional dynamics. And when we're able to view ourselves from not above, but when we can basically go through what we're going through, but not get too emotional about what we're going through. And I think a lot of people have learnt that through this process of COVID, that a lot of us have learnt to go with the flow. I know it's difficult for some people with, PTSD issues and stuff like that, and complex PTSD. But again, I've seen a lot of people that have been through early childhood trauma who are dealing with this relatively well, because they've been through trauma, and they've almost they sort of made for times like this. Because I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it's just that the uncertainty. When people have childhood trauma, there would have been a lot of uncertainty about who's going to take care of them and how, and can they trust. So this is not too out of place, sadly, but that's the way it is. But also the people that have been through trauma can now be helpful to people who might be finding it really difficult in society as the years go ahead, as we move out of this period. The Saturn square Uranus dates were going to be February the 14th. I'm going to change this chart to solar fire. So give me 1 second, new share. And we're going to go to the emanated chart. Okay, so I'm going to be able to move this chart. I'm going to go into days. And this is today's date. You can see the moon in Virgo. And we can see that also that moon currently is in conjunct, looks like, to Saturn at the moment. We can see it's an inconjunct, which our emotions and our restriction. There's something about being our restriction, our feelings around that. And also really, you know, I would tie in also Jupiter, our expansion there. So this is beautiful that we've got these moving, they've moved on into Aquarius. When we had the Saturn Jupiter conjunction, and Pluto's going to take to 2023, 2024 to move into Aquarius. So we're moving into the end of patriarchal rule as we have known it. It's a different time. We're going into more of the humanity, our hopes and dreams. But it's going to be different for each of us depending on our own chart. That's what's going on. So you can see the squares here. You can see the square to Mars. And also you can see that these are conjunct. This is the goddess of discord, Eris, E-R-I-S. And also you can see up here that we've got Uranus conjunct Lilith, which is the shadow. So breaking free of limitations, and that's the shadow that we're all looking at. So then if I go weeks ahead, let's take this ahead 1 week. This is the 10th of January. This is the 17th. And if we then take it to the day of the inauguration, the 20th, we can see here that we've got the moon conjunct our goddess of discord and Eris, and Mars is conjunct to Uranus, and we've also got our shadow there as well. So this, and then the moon will move over all of these planets. So this is going to be a fascinating time. And also this is 6/21 and that's 6/24. So watch if I go hours and see what Mars does on that day. So we got one, Mars is 6/22. And this is the 20th of January, early in the morning this is. And then you can see, I want to see if it moves across on that day. Mars is 6/27, 6/28. So maybe on the 21st, it looks like planets moving around. Let's see. So 6:50. So it's crossed over, and that will be on the 21st. So I don't know what's going to go on at this time, but it shows that, you know, Mars activates planets. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. And what else can I tell you? And, you know, as long as we stay grounded in our being, you know, we just keep moving through this time. The other thing we've got going on is that I was going to look at those nodes with you, the Neptune nodes, to see how long they're remaining square. And then the other thing we've got going on, we will have a new moon coming up mid-month. And then we will also have Mercury on the 30th of January will go retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. So, and then also that North Node, this is another video, the North Node will move over, or Mars will move over the North Node on the 31st of March. So that would be indicate new movement and being able to move forward again. So we're just going to have to wait and see. You know, we don't want to predict too much at this time, but it does look healthy that Mars is moving over the North Node. So let's see the square of the nodes. So we have Neptune, and there's the North Node, and there's the South Node, and Neptune's 18 degrees. So I just want to see how many weeks that's there for all of us. I'm going to go 4 weeks ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we've got the 18th of February here. and that's 16 degrees, and Neptune moves very slowly. It's 184 years around the chart. The nodes are 18 years around the chart, 18, 19 years. So 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to the 18th of March. And we have, let's see this node again. The node is 20 degrees, sorry, Neptune is 20 degrees and the node has moved off. So let's go back a week, 1 week, 2 weeks, and that node is square still, but then it's moved off the south node and it's just about squaring. So this is, you know, it's looking different. I mean, you know, we're definitely not going to be in the same position forever. So we have to, you know, this is, for me, it's been a really special time. I mean, it's not been easy, but I've been able to really do a lot of shadow work, and I've been digging into the work of Carl Jung, the anima and the animus. I've been understanding the archetypes, and I've been looking after my body, and I've been getting loads of sleep. So, you know, it's been an interesting time to spend literally the whole of 2020 on my own. It's been an incredible experience for me. So, okay, I'm going to leave it there. Book a session with me, like my video or subscribe, or book a session with me. Thanks for watching. Take care.